What if you are keeping yourself sick out of love and loyalty to your parents and ancestors? What if your chronic pain is an unconscious attempt to help them, to carry their suffering, or to heal what they couldn't heal themselves? What if this pain began a very long time ago and you've continued to hold on to it out of love? I know doesn't sound scientific, but this is the language of the unconscious. Family loyalty doesn't show up on an X-ray. But what if your ancestors never wanted you to carry this pain in the first place? What if the best way to honor them is not to suffer for them, but to finally let go? Hello, I'm Lena. I'm a chronic pain coach, and I believe that most chronic pain is the result of repressed emotions that are often buried in the unconscious. In the previous videos, I talked about the things that didn't work for me on my healing journey to recover from chronic pain, which were the things that didn't address the emotions. And I talked about two things that worked: the work of Dr. John Sarno and Love Sikkim. Here, I would like to talk about the third modality that helped me truly heal from chronic pain, which is family constellations. Remember that according to Dr. John Sarno, chronic pain is created by the brain to distract us from repressed emotions. Now, repressed emotions are different from suppressed emotions. Repressed emotions are in the unconscious, and by definition, you are totally unaware of them. As a matter of fact, you will tend to vehemently deny them. So the unconscious is not easy to breach. After doing Dr. Sarno's work and doing All Love, there was still something missing. And for me, and after doing Family Constellations, I realized that what was missing, another piece of the puzzle, was the unconscious loyalty to my parents and ancestors. I realized through Family Constellations something no other modality had shown me. And that is that deep in my unconscious, I didn't really want to heal, because healing meant that I would betray my parents and ancestors while remaining sick was how I remained loyal to them and close to them. Again, this might be hard to understand because it's a deeply unconscious loyalty. But if you have chronic pain, you need permission from your ancestors to let go of it. And through family constellations, you can understand that experientially. In family constellations, I realized that I was unknowingly sacrificing myself for my parents. I was keeping myself sick out of love for them. I thought that I would be betraying them if I was healthier and happier than them. So in a way, I needed their permission. I needed the permission from my parents and ancestors and grandparents, and to let go of that pain that I was carrying on their behalf. I realized that the pain that I was holding on to, whether it was physical or emotional, was not going away unless my ancestors approved of it, unless they gave me their blessing, because they were the ones that gave it to me. I needed to hear them say, "Follow your own path and don't carry our pain." Again, this is not scientific language in the ordinary sense, but this is the language of the unconscious. You can't really prove love scientifically. Family loyalty doesn't show up on an X-ray or an MRI. Actually, the more scientific you are, the more you will tend to undermine the power of love. You'll want to reduce love to biochemistry, But then you'll start looking for ways to manipulate the biochemistry while forgetting about where it originally came from. But actually, Bert Hellinger, the founder of Family Constellations, refers to his work as the orders of love. And now, in some circles, it is phrased as the science of love. What you will realize experientially in family constellations is that whether you love your parents or hate them, you are hanging onto their patterns unconsciously in order to stay close to them. Personally, I think my father was very hard on me because he believed that he needed to honor and respect his abusive father, which he did. But guess what? Where that anger went, it had to go somewhere. Energy doesn't just disappear. So he projected that anger on his kids. My dad was a conservative Muslim. And because he had an abusive dad whom he idolized and idealized, he created a God in the image of his father, and he projected that on his kids. My dad was a misogynist because he had mommy issues that he was totally unaware of, from what I can see. Out of love, I tried to follow his path in order to please him, but he was never pleased anyway because he was too wounded to show me that he was proud of me or that I was enough. So I had to ask his soul, I honor the dignity of your fate. Please bless me if I take a different path. He's not going to bless me in this lifetime, but I can feel him blessing me on a soul level. Through family constellations, I was able to feel the challenges that he went through that made him unable to love. I felt compassion for him, but I also validated my feelings. Also, my mom, she couldn't empathize with me when I was little. She was too wounded, and empathizing with me was not what she signed up for. She thought that it was my job to take care of her feelings, not her job to take care of my feelings. So since I was a child, I was her confidant, her therapist, her punching bag, but I couldn't do it anymore. In order to heal, I needed to tell her, Mama, this burden is yours to carry, not mine. I took it out of love, and with love, I give it back. Like all love, which I talked about in the previous video, family constellations is an experiential therapy. You can only understand it after you have experienced it. If you have chronic pain or other symptoms, it is likely because you love your parents so much that you took on their pain. This unconscious commitment to remain loyal to our parents is so strong that we are willing to sacrifice our lives for them. That's why people go to war and sacrifice their lives for their country. It's an instinct. So this loyalty will even lead us to remain stuck because we feel like we don't have the right to be healthier or happier than our parents. But for me, I was totally unaware of this process because it was unconscious. So it was a chance to discover not only how much I was angry at my parents and how much I hated them, but also how much I loved them and how much they loved me, even though I never really felt their love in this way. But what I realized experientially in family constellations is that I can love my parents, but I don't have to carry their pain. Because although on an egoic level, it might seem like my parents want me to carry their pain, on a soul level, they actually don't. Family constellations is a kind of shamanic window into the unconscious. You can't really let go of the pain intellectually. You have to feel it through. I realized that I unconsciously wanted to remain stuck because I wanted to somehow save my parents from their misery. But I really can't save my parents. I can't heal them. And it's not my job to save them or heal them or to help them. It's my job to look forward towards my future. And I know that they are giving me their blessing on a soul level. So how does it work? In a family constellations workshop, other people will volunteer to represent you and your family members. This allows you to step out of the box of your family system and look at it from the outside. This is an amazing technique because have you ever noticed that it's hard for us to see our unconscious patterns, but it's our own unconscious patterns, but it's easy for us to project them onto others? We can only see ourselves through the mirror of other people. So the fact that we are mirrors for each other means that we can heal in community. You are mirrors for them, and they are mirrors for you. They also uh, use you as a mirror, and it works because we are all the same. We all have parents that we are connected to. We all have families that we are entangled with. Everyone receives receives a healing during a constellation, clients and representatives. In a workshop setting, first the facilitator asks you about the issue you want to work on, then invites you to pick people from the group to represent different parts of your problem. For instance, you pick someone to represent you, your mother, your father, your grandmother, etc. Then you sit back and watch. The facilitator asks each representative to get out of their head and get into their body, feel what they're feeling in their body. Then the facilitator suggests what movements do you want to make, and then suggests healing sentences. This way you are looking at yourself and your family from the outside. So you are externalizing the issue you want to work on, which allows you to see it objectively with a whole new perspective. We are so immersed in our problems that we can't see what's going on. But for other people who are representing us, these scary repressed emotions are easier to approach. So personally, I get a healing by representing others in a workshop just as much as if others are representing me, because we are all the same in the end. We all need we all need love and a sense of belonging to our families. Family constellations helps put family dynamics in the right order, meaning that it is the parents' job to love their children unconditionally, not the other way around. The proper order of things is that love flows down the generations from the elders to the offspring. A lot of us with chronic pain are hard on ourselves because we were parentified at a young age. We were made to take care of our parents' feelings while neglecting our own. I grew up feeling so the natural flow of love got disrupted. I grew up feeling that it's not my parents' job to take care of my feelings. It's my job to take care of my parents' feelings. But this is not the proper order of things. In family constellations, we go on a kind of shamanic journey where we experientially hear the parents say to the children, please don't take on our pain. Please leave it with me. It's mine to carry, not yours. I am big, you are small. It's my job to give love and you receive. What I realized through family constellations is that it was impossible for me to truly heal unless I told the truth about myself, my parents, my grandparents, and ancestry. You can only heal by telling the truth. If you are trying to heal without telling the truth, you will only band-aid it or heal temporarily. The issues will keep coming back in the same way or in a different way. The purpose of the physical pain is to prevent you from telling the truth about your childhood and your parents because you love them so much and you want to help them. You want to save them. You love your parents so much that you would rather die than tell the truth about them. In family constellations, chronic pain and other illnesses are seen as a bonding strategy deep in the unconscious. So, although consciously you might want to get rid of your chronic pain, but deep in the unconscious, you don't want to get rid of the pain because that will mean that you can't be close to your parents and ancestors. Like all love Sikhem, family constellations therapy helped me realize that this chronic pain is all about love. Any attempt to heal it without love is going to fall short. We often hear about the importance of self-love, but most people can't just turn that on. We love ourselves to the extent that our parents loved us, which is the extent that they loved themselves. If we are struggling with self-love, until we heal our mother wound and father wound, we can't just decide to love ourselves. Nothing can substitute for the love of a parent, not the love of a partner, a soulmate, not the love of a child, not the love of thousands of people on social media. It might look like we can find love somewhere else, but it's just masking the symptoms. And there will still be a void that can get triggered easily. I know women who are endlessly loved by their husbands, but they're still depressed. There are people who become high achievers, artists, athletes who are loved by millions of people, but they wind up committing suicide because all the love in the world could not make up for the lost love of their parents. Maybe you are a high achiever and your parents do show you that they are proud of your achievements, but deep down, you know that they love you because of your achievements, not because you are you. Your inner child is narcissistic. Your inner child feels that it is entitled to be loved just because it exists. Not even the love of God can replace the love of your parents, because it is through the love of our parents that we really know what the love of God is. Else it's a spiritual bypass that will eventually leave us feeling like there is something missing. You will eventually realize that your perception of God's love, that in itself was shaped by your unhealed relationship with your parents. So if that love was disrupted, it needs to be healed before we really realize and feel true unconditional love for ourselves, which is the love of God. So the journey to God is through our human experience. Some people on their healing journey bypass their parents by saying, okay, I had messed up parents who didn't give me the love I needed, and there's nothing I can do about that. So screw them. I'm going to forget about them and connect directly to source, to my higher self, and that's all I need. That in family constellations is called exclusion, and it doesn't work in the long run because you remain unconsciously entangled with them. You will continue to unconsciously repeat patterns and have unexplained blocks in your life. It will show up in various areas in your life, in your relationships, blocked creativity, emotional well being, and chronic physical symptoms. But unless you are doing deep work, you will not be able to connect the dots between these blocks and your unhealed relationship with your parents. We often hear that God is love, but it's hard to feel that truth in our bones if we've never really experienced it. Our first encounter with love comes through our parents. So we naturally project their style of love onto the divine. If our parents were harsh, we may internalize a harsh image of God, even while insisting that we believe that God is love. Actually, what I realized is that the God I grew up worshiping was an invisible idol. An invisible idol I created in the image of my parents. But spiritually, I came full circle because in the end, it was the souls of my abusive parents and grandparents that healed me. Family constellations allowed me to feel the souls of my parents and ancestors beyond egoic identification. I could only feel their love beyond the veil. So on an egoic level, they wounded me, but on a soul level, they loved me unconditionally. But it was the recognition that their souls are eternal and connected to mine that allowed me to feel a true spiritual connection. What I realized is that spirituality is not so much about God as it is about mom and dad. Our whole view of the world is a projection of mom and dad. If someone made me feel stupid or ugly or unworthy, it was because I already felt stupid or ugly or unworthy because of childhood programming. And whatever happens afterwards is just a trigger. Invoking my ancestors as a source of unconditional love became a powerful substitute for the love I couldn't receive from my parents, especially when I connected to the healed ancestors. Grandparents and ancestors carry the same eternal bond of love and connection as our own parents. That bond never fades. As Arab grandparents say, there is only one thing more precious to me than my child, and that is my child's child. It is human nature for ancestors to love their offspring as they love themselves. Any other form of love is ultimately unsustainable. So if you missed out on unconditional love from your parents or grandparents, you can still draw on the love of your ancestors as a powerful inner resource. Through family constellations, despite the pain that I got from my family, I now feel more connected to my family. I feel like I belong to my family. I feel compassion for the suffering of my family, but I can follow my own path without taking on their pain. The downside of family constellations, at least for me, is that it didn't really help me with processing the anger. I used all love for that. Before I can say to my parents, I honor you, thank you for my life. Before I can say the healing sentence, if you gave me nothing else but the gift of life, it would have been enough. Before I could say that, I had to say I needed to express my true feelings, which were, I hate you. I'm angry at you for not loving me the way I needed. You abandoned me emotionally. Another difference between all love and family constellations is that in all love, or in family constellations rather, there are healing sentences that are suggested by the facilitator. Whereas in all love, Patrick Ziegler, the founder of all love, says the client shouldn't be programmed to say things. It needs to be organic. When they discover the feeling by themselves, it's like a gold mine. When they are spoon-fed, when it's spoon-fed to them, there is an element of doubt. However, in family constellations, when a facilitator asks the client to repeat a healing sentence, it's just to try it out and see how it feels. And it's usually only after the healing has already taken place in the field. There is a criticism of family constellations that it often reduces complex issues into simple root causes. So the issue that comes up in a constellation may not be the core issue, but I think that doesn't really matter, because the important thing is that it got you to feel that you belong to your family and to feel the suffering that they had to endure in order to give you life, feeling the love that is rightfully yours. It might not be a core issue, but sometimes the outer layers need to be peeled off first. Sometimes you are not ready to go in really deep. I am not certified in family constellations, so this is just a testimonial. However, I am certified in all love, and I like incorporating ancestral meditations in my healing and coaching practice. I have dialogues and visualizations that I have designed myself, which have helped me find self-love, connection, and belonging on my healing journey. If you are stuck, it is because you are trying to protect your parents. You are carrying their pain, and you believe unconsciously, this is all unconscious, you believe you have an obligation to carry their pain because you love them. You have an instinct to protect them. It's interesting how the conscious and unconscious are often totally at odds. You can have you can consciously think that you love your parents, but you don't know that you have a lot of unconscious anger towards them. And you can consciously think that you hate your parents, but what you don't know is that you love them so much. So this is what family constellations does. It makes a lot of these unconscious processes conscious. And when they become conscious, they don't rule your life anymore, because you have this metacognition where you can see through the entanglements. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about plant medicine, which is another powerful tool in breaching the unconscious and can be a great supplemental tool in addition to these shamanic practices. So stay tuned.